Good morning, YouTube and Facebook. My name is Jeff Blum. I'm the author of the book It's Across the Answer. It is Sunday, June 1st, 2014, and the title of today's 6-minute sermon is Seasons of Change. Seasons of Change. Now, what I mean by seasons of change is that just like the weather, as we live this life on this earth, we all go through seasons of change. We don't always want to acknowledge those seasons of change because we want everything to just be smooth sailing. And that's just not going to be the case in life. Our body, as we grow, it isn't smooth sailing. When we're in the process of growing taller, bigger, we may experience joint pains. Sometimes some people, when they grow, their vision gets a little blurred for temporarily, and then it clears up. When the weather is going through a change from, let's say, winter to spring, you get a lot of wind, you get heavy periods of rain at times when a warm front meets a cold front, and things get very volatile, and then they settle, and then the spring takes over, and spring to summer, and summer to fall, on and on. Embrace times of change. It just means better things are ahead. It means that you are getting better with your lives, and you are basically growing up or maturing into the next phase of your life, which is a good thing. You don't want to stay in one season too long. Well, Pentecost is coming up June 9th. Now, Pentecost is the time when, after Jesus went back to heaven, when God called Jesus back to heaven and said, "Sit here at my right hand," which is a throne on the right side of God, in the throne room of God. And he said, Jesus to his son, "Sit here and wait until I make all of your enemies your footstool." So he's going to take care of everything. Now, we who are born again sit with Jesus in him. Spiritually, we're in him, and he is in God. So you have to understand the spiritual aspect of it. And we will one day be seated with him when we receive our new bodies. But our bodies have not been born again. If you don't understand that, please see some earlier sermons or get the book, and it'll be explained, or email me. It's your choice. Now, during these seasons of change in Pentecost, after Jesus was seated at the right hand of the Father, right before he went there, he commissioned the disciples to stay in a place called an upper room, and in that room they were to wait and pray until the Holy Spirit came. Jesus called the Holy Spirit the Comforter. Now, at that time, they were in much prayer, and then the Holy Spirit came, filled them, and things changed. They started speaking languages they had not known. The Bible calls them tongues, but there were people who literally spoke those languages that were in the city that they were in. And from that point on, the disciples who followed Jesus were released into the world to preach the gospel with power and the Holy Spirit, and the season changed in their lives. They were released. That was a new season. So, in this time of release, starting June 9th, on the Hebraic calendar, it is June 9th. That's God's calendar. We work on a Gregorian calendar, or a Roman calendar here in the United States, which is not God's calendar. It's not his timetable. It's man's calendar, man's timetable. It does not mean God doesn't honor it. It just means that his time, the way the clock ticks for him, is the Hebraic calendar. So June 9th on the Hebraic calendar is Pentecost. And at that particular time, let me just mention this, Pentecost was 50 days after the death of Jesus. Okay, so that's when Pentecost is. And now it is a time coming upon us of release. So expect the season to change once again in your life around June 9th. This is a good thing. This is the time when all of God's power is released. And it is a time to have high expectations for God to do new things on the earth, because That's exactly what he does during Pentecost. I hope this helps you understand what the seasons of change in God's eyes really mean. It is a time when God has set things in motion in your lives. He has placed them on calendars. He has placed them on your heart to let you know you are ready to move into another season. And when you do, understand that your flesh fights against God, so it may not want to change. You may get comfortable when your flesh may say, no, I don't want to change. Well, your flesh is not born again yet. So it's going to fight against God. Again, please see some earlier sermons or read the book or email if you need further instructions, because that is very important to understand why we fight against God. Maybe that'll be my next week's sermon. Why do we fight against God? Okay? Until then, enjoy the new season of change called Pentecost on June 9th.